Imolani viewers, welcome to today's episode of Load Shedding, a show that focuses explicitly on current affairs pertaining to the continent of Africa. Today we shall be focusing on a negative topic. My name is Kees. Today's episode brings us to the only African country that has Spanish as one of its official languages. Equatorial Guinea is on the Gulf of Guinea, wedged between Cameroon and Gabon. And it seems its vice president has managed to land himself into hot water once again. Nepotism supreme, the current president of Equatorial Guinea is none other than Teodoro Obiang's father, Mr. Teodoro Obiang Sr, who coincidentally is the longest serving president of the African country at this point in time, or the longest serving leader, whichever way you want to put it. Now granted, that list of long-serving African leaders is growing slimmer by the year, with Mr. Dos Santos stepping down this year, and the health of Mr. Robert Mugabe being a big question mark, supposedly. Anyway, back to Teodoro Obiang Sr. He presides over a country with a population of about 1.2 million people. The country ranks very poorly on the United Nations Human Development Index with 144th place as of 2014. Also, only 50% of the population has access to clean water, and 20% of the population dies before the age of 5. Now, despite the fact that Mr. Obiang led a bloody coup successfully to oust his uncle, he introduced democracy and has won every election since, with over 90% of the votes going to him. Yes, you heard me right. That means that even those people that have no access to clean water and are basically dying of poverty are voting for this man. Now, that must be called undying devotion, right? You know what? Coming to think of it, no wonder Margaret Thatcher's son tried to do a coup in the country. I mean, despite Mr. Obiang's alleged crimes, his approval ratings are sky high, something that the Iron Lady must be very jealous of. So how dare people dispute his democratic electoral victories? In fact, the United Nations even helped develop the current constitution in place in that country. It's also the richest African country per capita, with its gross domestic product adjusted for purchasing power parity, ranking it 43rd in the world. You know, the fact that only but a small percentage of that population is enjoying the wealth is but a minor detail. And now back to Junior. Mr. Teodoro Obiang Jr. has had a spot of bad luck when it comes to his assets and possessions being confiscated. You see, back in 2013-2014, the United States repossessed about 70 million worth of goods from Mr. Teodoro Obiang. And this included a mansion in Malibu, a very rare Ferrari, and some Michael Jackson memorabilia. Now, he was able to keep some of the Michael Jackson memorabilia, with the famous crystal-encrusted glove from the Bad Tour and the Thriller jacket being kept in his possession, as that was out of the United States and therefore outside their jurisdiction. Now, it is said that all the proceeds from this repossession were supposed to be given back to the people of Equatorial Guinea. But I'm a bit curious as to how that would work, because, you know, the current president of Equatorial Guinea is Obiang's father. And even though it would be done through a charity, the father still can influence and manipulate how that goes and where the money goes. So, yeah, call me skeptical, but I don't think it really works that way. Mr. Teodoro Obiang Jr. has been tried and found guilty in absentia in France. He has been accused of wrongfully obtaining money in the space of 9 years, especially as agricultural minister between 2004 and 2011, where harvest he did, because they claim that he has siphoned off $150 million in that space of time through bogus taxes on wood sales. He has been handed a 3-year suspended jail term, as well as a fine of 30 million euros. And it goes without saying that France has confiscated all his assets and properties. On top of that, the International Court of Justice has waived aside his diplomatic immunity, and Switzerland has also gone ahead and grabbed all his possessions. And this includes his beloved Michael Jackson glove. Whilst being tried, Teodoro seemed unperturbed as he took the opportunity to spend this time to head off to a different lion's den and visit the mighty Victoria Falls, of which I'm sure it was official VP business. His life is filled with toys all men secretly dream of, from James Bond themed submarines to futuristic motorbikes, fancy destinations, and employees at his every beck and call. It is said that he has a salary of less than 100,000 US dollars per year as vice president, but he has maintained that his assets were bought with his hard-earned cash through his various businesses. Now, I for one have not been able to uncover what those businesses are exactly. So here's what I think of the situation. Even though Mr. Obiang's money is in no way tied to the Panama or Paradise Papers that I know of, I do think that there's a connection between the three of them. You see, Mr. Obiang has been tried and found guilty of having siphoned money out of the coffers of Equatorial Guinea and putting them into his own pocket. And despite tax havens being legal, the same can be said for the companies and people that use these tax havens to siphon money out of these, especially African countries, and put them into these tax havens to avoid paying taxes. You see, that money can go a long way towards helping the lives of people that truly matter in these African countries. Mind you, people always say that a lot of money is being donated by countries from in the West to African countries. But don't kid yourself, because a lot more money is being siphoned and put into these tax havens, than that is being pumped into these African countries through donations. So even though I do believe that Mr. Teodoro Obiang should be tried and if guilty, being given a sentence, I do not think that he's even a symptom of the problem at hand. If anything, he's just a mere side effect. Well, there you have it. That was today's topic. I hope that it was informative and that I've somehow kept you entertained. I wouldn't say that it is an entertaining topic, but in any case, I hope I kept you entertained. Now, I would like to hear from you what you think of the situation. Do you think that Mr. Teodoro Obiang is guilty? Do you think he's innocent? Do you think that there's more at play? I'm really curious as to what you think of the whole situation. As usual, leave your comments in the box below, and please, please, please subscribe to me on my social media platforms. You can follow me on Twitter, on Facebook, and subscribe to me on YouTube. That's it for today. My name is Kees. See you next time.